Alli, have you heard of Ozempic? Shawna, I would have to be living under a rock if I hadn't heard of Ozempic, Mounjaro, the Zepbound, all the different GLP-1 medications. And today we're doing something we've never done. We are doing a panel with ladies that are taking GLP-1 medications or have in the past. Our goal is to educate and to learn. Super excited. Let's give a shout out, Alli. All right, let's give our shout out to listener Leslie Ferzani. Thanks for listening to the Girls Talk Healthy Aging. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Girls Talk Healthy Aging podcast, where we dive deep into pressing health and fitness issues facing aging women. I'm Alli Kerr.
And I'm Shawna Kaminski. And together we'll bring candid conversations, expert advice, and personal stories that will inspire and empower you on your own wellness journey.
We're not experts on GLP-1. John and I are not experts on this. And, and none of us on this podcast that I know of are experts on GLP. Y'all are more experts than Shawna and I because you have the personal experience that we don't have. We are working to get an endocrinologist that we will be interviewing too. And so some of these things that we discuss on this podcast episode, we can double check and ask about and get clarification on, and kind of find out more about that, especially her world's going to be endocrinology. So especially in that world. So I just want to put that out there that, we really are careful. We want to be careful on Girls Healthy Aging to make sure that we are, making sure that we're sharing accurate information. So as we go through this conversation, just, remember that, that this is a panel where we're, getting experiences. And then we're also going to take some of these same things from this conversation. And then we will be able to ask an expert, but we don't have an expert on this conversation. Well, this is the first panel that we are doing and we're super excited. And it's a super hot topic right now. We are going to be talking about GLP-1 medications, and who better to talk to than some people that have experience taking said medications. So we have some ladies on today that are in different boats as far as if they're still taking it, if they have taken it, if they are what they're taking it for, and just their experience. And so we want to learn from you ladies, helping us to understand more about this GLP-1 journey that so many folks are on or have been on. So thanks for hopping on with us. And we'll start with our very first question, which I want to know, who is and this is just a short answer question, who do you get your GLP-1 prescription from? If you do a prescription, compounding, where do you get it and what kind of provider? If y'all want to just take turns, Laura, if you want to jump in first.
Sure. I get it from my endocrinologist and from a pharmacy, just a regular pharmacy.
Okay. And Annie, what about you?
Family doctor and pharmacy.
Okay. And Emily, you have taken it in the past. Where did you get it from? What kind of provider and what kind of prescription?
My primary care doctor prescribed it to me that I've been seeing for the last 7 years.
Okay, perfect.
Before we jump into more questions, could we clarify with our three guests if you'd be willing to share the reason that you're using the GLP-1, because there's many medications and there's many reasons for using it. So if you're comfortable, could you share why you're using GLP-1? Laura, give us a
sure. I'm using it for diabetes. I have type 2 diabetes, and it's lowered my A1C from a 9 to a 5.7.
Annie?
I initially went to my doctor about it to lose weight because I wasn't able to work out because I had such inflammation and more weight on my body than my body could naturally hold. And I wasn't able to work out and do the things I wanted to do to be healthy. And so she put me on it for weight loss.
Emily?
My family, we have a history of diabetes on both sides, and I was at a very unhealthy weight and was not quite pre-diabetic, but was heading in that direction. So my primary care doctor recommended that I try it to kickstart a healthier lifestyle.
And how many of you, and on your journey thus far, have been on any kind of social media site or follow anyone on social media that's an influencer or a GLP-1 user, and this could maybe just even be a show of hands that you've maybe followed them, followed their journey, raise your hands if that is somewhere that you have gotten some info or followed. So no, maybe one. Yep. Okay. Then two. Okay. So, yep. Awesome. Okay. And then what kind of social media sites do you follow people related to GLP? Would it be TikTok? Would it be like LinkedIn? Well, I don't get, probably not LinkedIn. Would it be Facebook, Instagram?
Instagram.
Okay. And what about you, Annie?
I've seen some on TikTok.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. And yes, I'm not normally on TikTok, but for this episode, I went back and reset up my TikTok so I could get on and check out what's out there in the GLP-1 world. And so I got to see a lot of people giving themselves shots and preparing to give themselves shots. And it was, I've only had a little taste of that, but it was just interesting to see just a little glimpse of what is out on social media.
So could I ask, when was the first time each of you had heard of GLP-1s, whether it be Ozempic or semaglutide, whatever medication you're on? Was it something through social media, or was it something actually from your doctor?
Mine was from neither.
Annie, where did you hear?
Mine was of a client. I was working with a client, and she had quite a bit of weight loss. And I said, my goodness, you are looking amazing. And, what is it you're doing? Everybody says, what's the secret, right? And she told me about this thing called Ozempic. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And then I went to my doctor to talk about, as I said, I'm sort of in Emily's boat where I wasn't pre-diabetic, but I was certainly heading that way. And that's kind of where that conversation started. And I had mentioned to her that a client had told me about Ozempic and what did she think about it. And she said, you are an absolutely perfect candidate for this. So that's kind of where that whole discussion came in.
Yeah, my doctor was the first person that brought it up to me. I'd never even heard of it. When they told me about it, I was like, what is this amazing thing that I've never heard of? And
okay. Very cool.
So this is going to sound like I'm lying, but I'm not. About 8 to 10 years ago, I'm pretty sure my mom was part of the study for a GLP-1 because I remember it being a shot. I don't remember the name, but I remember her taking a shot, and I remember her describing symptoms of what the shot has done for me. So I'm pretty confident that was probably the first I heard of it, even though I didn't understand what it was. And then the next time it crossed my mind was when the endocrinologist brought it up to me. And I didn't even know that it was the same thing until I started taking it. And then I realized that's probably what my mom was taking.
It makes sense because a lot of people think it's a new drug, but it has been around for years and years and years. I think probably 20 plus years. So very interesting. What's your next question, Alli?
Well, I want to ask if you remember me telling you about the commercials we have here in the U.S.
Yeah.
So yeah, now, and we can kind of go back to how long ago it's been when these ladies started taking it, but now it's very much right in front of us all the time. We have the commercial, the Ozempic commercial, the song, Ozempic. And Shawna doesn't have that in Canada. They don't get those commercials, but we do all the time. Yeah.
That I have since, I just don't watch commercial television. And then I happened to be somewhere that a commercial came on and there was that commercial. So I don't know if it had recently been added or if it's just me. I live under a rock sometimes, so I can't be relied on for television commercials.
Annie just posted that y'all do get them. Annie says in the comments, y'all do get them in Canada.
Yeah, so. I think it's here now.
Yeah. So now it's become, you kind of do have to almost be living under a rock these days to not have heard of any of this class of drugs. So what were your initial thoughts when your doctors came to you and said, hey, this is a good idea, or your friend told you about it and you talked to your doctor? what were you thinking this was going to be like? And you found out it was a shot. Like, just kind of give us the things going through your head when you first started down this journey or were considering taking the GLP-1 drugs. We'll start with you, Emily.
Like I said, when she brought it up, I was shocked. I had never heard of it before. And I immediately thought of people that I knew in like the 2000s or whatever that were taking all these medicines that just wreaked havoc on their insides and just made them feel awful, but it made them lose weight. And I was like, I don't know about this. And I asked a ton of questions, but she was like, I've had great results with it, people who are just like you, and it's not something that you would be on for very long. It can just be a kickstart. And since, my mental state where I was at that point, I was very unhappy, very unhealthy, and just lacked all this motivation. She just pitched it to me like, let's just try this out. You let me know in a month. You think about it, research it, and I'll call you in a prescription if you want it. And I researched and talked to my parents about it. And my mom actually knew someone who had been on it for 11 years and had great success. And so I thought I'd give it a try. And I think it was one of probably the greatest things that I'd done for myself.
What about you, Annie?
Initial thoughts were a little intrepidation. It always seems like, it's too good to be true. I think, to be very honest, I didn't do enough homework. I don't think my doctor knew enough. And we can get into that because my start was not good. Not good at all. And when we get to that point, I'll share that. But I would, if I were me now, I would say do a little bit more homework. We can also talk about, later on in our discussion about what you didn't know and what you wish you would have known. Because there's certainly some things there that I wish I would have known. But I think I ultimately had heard good things about it. And I knew, like Emily, I wasn't in a good place. And I certainly wasn't in a place to work out. I certainly wasn't in a place where I felt motivated to make a change for my life and for my health. And I feel like I've done a complete 180 on that. And to me, that is the best part of all of this. That no one can take away from me, that no one can shame me about, that I'm in a very much better place for where I am at for choosing to take it.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to get back to that. But you first, Laura. How'd you feel in the beginning?
Well, I went to the endocrinologist because I had convinced myself that I didn't have enough hormones and I needed hormones because I was eating correctly, but I was not dropping weight. And what I found out was that it wasn't hormones, it was diabetes. So I had a hysterectomy years ago, but that wasn't the problem. And she very patiently sat down and described, she said, there's a medication that was developed specifically for diabetes. It's used for other things now, but this is what it was built for. And I believe you're a candidate that would work well, but it does have side effects. It causes you to lose weight. And I don't know, 290 pounds, I jumped up and said, well, if it loses weight, I don't want it. Joking. I was joking. And she started laughing. And because I was thinking, who cares? I think that my blood sugar was part of the reason I wasn't losing weight in the first place. And I still believe that. So I was on board with it, but mostly because the name she used wasn't a name that I'd heard before. So it was Mounjaro, not Ozempic. And I'd never heard of that medicine before. So I just thought, oh, well, it's, some magic medicine that's going to fix my diabetes, that also will let me lose weight. And then the more I talked to people about what she had prescribed, the more I understood that I was now part of the cultural movement towards the GLP-1, but I really didn't understand it when she was explaining it to me. I just knew she's, a doctor said this is something I could do to try to get rid of my diabetes. And I was like, let's do it.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about, how you feel on it? Like, what did it initially, how did your body feel when you first started it? Let's continue with you, Laura.
So this is going to sound hokey, and I apologize for that, but I did not know that the rest of the world didn't think about food all the time. I didn't understand that. I thought that everybody had the same thoughts that I had, but that I just wasn't strong enough to resist them, because I had weight loss surgery. And even though I couldn't eat the food, I would get up in the middle of the night and go to the grocery store to get food if I didn't feel like I had enough food in my house. And I wouldn't eat it. As a matter of fact, most of the time, a week later, I throw it away. But I thought about food all the time. So the how do I feel is more about how do I think. And I don't think about food anymore, like all the time. As a matter of fact, I really, really have to very specifically schedule meals every 3 hours so that I don't forget to eat. Because if I get too busy, I won't eat and then nearly pass out from low blood sugar. So I have to be very intentional. So it's created a discipline within myself because of the danger of low blood sugar, really, weirdly, because now sometimes I drop too low. Mm-hmm. But that's really the difference for me. And I am lucky enough to actually have none of the side effects. I don't know how many of us there are, but I don't get the side effects. So it's blissful is where I am. I'm in the world of bliss.
Wow. I think it's so important that we brought that up early in the conversation, because I think that a lot of people don't realize that is part of the magic of these drugs, is how it works on the brain. Because a lot of people that have difficulty with weight loss, it's the food noise that is constant. And it's not that you have this lack of willpower. It's just that you have this constant barrage of thoughts. So thank you for bringing that up right away. Excellent.
Yeah, it was, I not only believe it was an obsession with me, which is exactly what I described, but I remember pondering within the first couple of months whether this drug could treat alcoholism and drug addiction, because of how much of an impact it made on my thoughts and beliefs.
Wow, that's amazing. And it is being used for addictions currently. I think it's being expanded to that, that
doesn't surprise me. I would imagine that it would be frankly, I don't drink as much as I used to, because it just isn't a thing that I think about. And a lot of people who have weight loss surgery tend to become alcoholics. So because they move from one obsession to the other. And I barely drink. Usually it's socially, and it's maybe a couple of times a year, but I just don't think about alcohol anymore either. So,
Emily, could you share any negative experiences that you had?
Well, the only real negative thing that I think has come from me using the shot is I get alcohol flush when I do drink now. I don't know if I've developed an allergy to alcohol or what, but if I have a sip of any alcohol, then my face turns beet red and it stings, and it's gone within 20 minutes. But that has never happened to me. And it only started maybe 2 months after I started taking the shot. So and I immediately started Googling it when I was like, is this related? And apparently it's a thing that has happened. Luckily it doesn't, for a lot of people, it makes them have very bad hangovers, and the alcohol flush doesn't happen for like an hour until after they've started drinking. Mine is immediate and it is gone. And then that's it. I don't get, any worse hangovers or anything, but other than that, I have only had good things. Just like Laura said, the food noise was horrible for me my whole entire life. And all of a sudden, I wasn't hungry anymore and I wasn't thinking about food. And when I did eat food, I could eat a single serving of whatever and I was full. And it made me realize, like, the amount of food I was eating was obscene and unhealthy, and I can live off of much less. So even though now I haven't been on the shot for the last year, I still have much healthier habits, recognize that I can eat much less. And while I'm essentially normal again with it entirely out of my system, I still have the benefits of, recognizing what a serving is and that is enough. So
nice. How about you, Annie? Have you had any negative results?
Definitely some issues there, but I will absolutely echo the food noise discussion. I used to, I work evenings, and I would be coming home and I would be thinking on my way home, what could I eat when I get home? Right before sleep, because that's the best time to eat. And, in the morning you get up and you're thinking, okay, so what am I going to get prepared to eat for today? What am I going to have a snack after dinner? Those were, what am I going to make for dinner? Oh yeah, there's the dinner, but it was the snack after, and all these things that were totally not what I needed. And it does absolutely change your frame of thinking around food. As Laura says, and I echo that, now food is, oh gosh, I need to eat. I better make sure to eat. And I do, like Laura, I just don't get super hungry. I do get hungry now a little more than I used to. We should probably talk about too how long we've been on it, because I found that through my journey through Ozempic, I've changed as I've gone, and now I am getting a little bit more hungry, and I do have more cues for food. It waxes and wanes for me, where it's working really well and I'm not hungry and I'm not interested. And then there's times where I feel like I am, but certainly at the beginning, I'd take my portion of food, I'd sit down and I'd eat a quarter of it, and I'd be like, I'm done. I simply cannot eat anymore. I felt a bit of a grieving process because food makes us feel good. And I felt sad that, every celebration is around food and alcohol. And I didn't have that same zest for it. And so I kind of felt a bit of grief around that. And that certainly went away pretty darn quickly because I started to see the results in the mirror.
And Annie, I know your results, but maybe you could share what your results have been.
Sure. I lost 42 pounds. It certainly wasn't quick. I did it through COVID, which was the perfect time to do it, and came out of COVID looking, I personally believe, 10 years younger than I was.
Yeah.
Or I think I was looking older, and now I think I'm looking my age and a little bit younger. And so that certainly was cool. But I dealt with severely nausea at the beginning. So, this isn't a panacea. There are some issues. We'll talk about the constipation issue. That's definitely there and wasn't at the beginning, but is more so now for me. So now I've been on it now. I can't even remember, but at least 3 years. At least 3 years. Burping. Burping is my thing. Some people get very flatulent. That is my husband, who was a pre-diabetic and got put on it. He's flatulent, and I'm the burper. So together, we're just wonderful couple to be around. But, again, I'm healthier, but burping, so pick your poison there. I bruise easier. Bruising is a thing for me. And some of my girlfriends who I've chatted with speak about thinning of their hair. And one said she felt profoundly different with her hair. I know for sure that my hair thinning happened well before, because I remember going to my hairdresser, and guess what? It had nothing to do with Ozempic because I wasn't on it yet. It was called menopause. And I know you two know a lot about that. So I can't blame Ozempic for that. I don't think it's been any worse since being on Ozempic for me, but I have a much younger girlfriend, and she's I don't even know, maybe late 30s. And she's said definitely that for her, hair loss was a big thing. And I can see it in her for sure. So those were kind of the negatives around it that you kind of work through, that, what is the bigger and greater result and what outweighs what. And that's where we are today.
And let's find out how long everyone has been on it. And then another question I'd like to know is how you pay for that, like as far as pricing, how much it is that was if you're no longer on it. And Laura, if you want to start with that.
I have been on it. In September will be a year. And my right now I'm not paying anything for it because I met my deductible or my maximum payout for the year. So it's covered 100% by my insurance. But I want to say it wasn't really that expensive even when I was paying for it. It might have been $30, $40. Like, it wasn't a lot, but now it's nothing. I mean, next year, see me next year. We'll see.
And that's $30 or $40 a month?
Right.
Okay.
Because my insurance covers a lot of it, but when I transitioned out of a job and I'm using Cobra, but it was backdating the Cobra usage or whatever. If I had not had insurance, it would have been $1,500
a month.
A month, yes.
Okay, and you're in the United States. We need to correct that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what about you, Emily? When you were taking, and how much was it costing?
I was on it from December 2022 to June of 2023, and it was not covered by my insurance, but I got it when there was a coupon that was being offered to everybody, so I paid $25 a month for it.
And then without the coupon, what would it have gone to?
It would have been somewhere over 500, and that was way too much. So I was like, never mind.
And what about you,
you're
Annie?
in the States?
Yes, U.S.
Yep. And Annie?
I'm in Canada. We should also, by the way, talk about how much we take, because that also affects the price.
Yeah.
And I'm taking the I think it's the 1 milligram blue pen, however that much that amount is. I think that's what it is. I have insurance coverage. I used to pay $2.40 because my husband had a really good plan through work, and he's since retired. And so we've gotten some supplementary plans now. And I don't even know exactly, but I think it's over $60 a month out of pocket, but then through business, I get to write it off through my healthcare plan, through my own company. So it's not costing me what it costs the average Canadian who doesn't have that ability to run it through business. I'm hearing anywhere from $200 to $400 a month.
Yeah, that's what I've heard in Canada as well.
So I'm paying definitely under that.
Yeah, we don't have anyone on this panel that's doing this, but I am hearing, and I don't know if y'all are hearing this in the States with me, more and more ads and commercials for compounding things. That is becoming a really big thing here, and getting it online, getting it through a compounding pharmacy. And the cost on that are also different because that wouldn't be under insurance. So, that's a whole nother... we could probably do a whole nother podcast on that whole world, but I do want to put that out that does, I know we're hearing that does exist as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then let's talk about the perceptions, or what do you think the perceptions are? What have you thought perceptions are of you if you tell someone that you're taking a GLP-1? Talk to me about that, Laura. You're smiling.
Well, I'm smiling because when you were talking to me about this podcast, I was quick to say, but I only take it because I have diabetes. Like it was a defensive stand, right, for the taking of it. And I do a lot of work with people about shame. And I do think that when you've been overweight your whole life, which that was me, and I've lost over 100 pounds. So it's like way overweight. You already have shame because the world has taught you that you're not worthy of the things. You're not worthy to sit in a booth. You have to get a chair. You're not worthy to, like you move around the world differently. And so when you are taking a medication that is marketed and branded specifically for fat people, I mean, let's be honest, like that's what it is. It's not branded. Most people don't even know that it's about diabetes. Most people don't know that's why it was created. It's like you're wearing a big sign on your head that says, I'm fat and I don't have any willpower and I have to take medicine, right? Like that's what you're saying to the world. And I think that's so the difference between shame and guilt is when you have a set of moral values and your actions don't match those. And shame is when you believe your actions create your value. And I think that shame is what we're coming from. It's like we keep it inside so nobody knows, but now that we're on this medicine, it's big and it's out there and the world is seeing it. And I think that's, to me, that's what the stigma is. And I'm not immune to it because I'm quick to tell people I'm on diabetes, and I'm also proudly state that I'm not on Ozempic. I'm on Mounjaro, right? Like, I don't know why that matters to me or anybody, but I've caught myself doing that a lot, and it's not okay. I've adjusted that once I've caught myself doing it.
What about you, Emily? You were shaking your head, Emily. What about the shame thing or the thoughts, the perceptions that you feel are out there?
Yeah, that really has taken a toll on me, and I'm very thankful that I have a great relationship with my therapist because we have talked about it at length. And while I was on it and after the fact. When I first started it, didn't want anybody to know. And honestly, that's totally fine because it's between me and my doctor who is telling me this is what's going to help you. But I still felt this judgment because society has decided that if you're on any weight loss drug, then you're lazy and you can't do anything on your own. And you already, like Laura said, feel like crap because you're fat and feel like you can't fix it except, they offer this medicine. You think, great, maybe I'll be able to live longer and be healthier. But then you have society who sees all these celebrities who are taking Ozempic when they're already skinny to get really, really skinny. And these are people who, we already feel a type of way about because they have access to dietitians and personal trainers that stay at their house and coach them every single day. And they are taking this drug to just go from a size 4 to a size 0. Whereas, I wanted to go from a size 22 to like just a 12 was my goal. Just one day I wanted to be a 12. And you just feel everybody looking at you like, oh, you're just cheating. But then that was really, really hard for me. But now, especially because I didn't just take the shot and just, waste away. I lost 50 pounds, but I also, after 3 months of being on it, I started working out with Alli. I was like, okay, I'm going to take more control because I actually felt like I could take up this space in the exercise world and that I was finally worthy of that. And I eased my way into it, and I haven't stopped working out since that day. And now I can't imagine my life without it. And I've since met people who have taken it, and they confided me that they're taking some kind, whether it's Wegovy or, Mounjaro, anything like that. And I tell them, I'm like, this is a safe space. You are not cheating. This is not something to be ashamed of. You are doing what is right for you. And if you end up healthier, however you get there, you're doing the best thing that you can. So I've told myself that. And while I still don't tell people because it's not their business, I'm happy to talk about how great it was for me and how it has led me to a much better place.
How about you, Annie?
Just echoing everything everybody else said. Shame, the Hollywood quick fix. I still don't want to tell anyone. Emily, thank you for giving me the permission to say that it isn't anybody's business. None of what we really do is anybody's business, with our health especially. They definitely do feel that judgment. I have close family who judge very heavily, who have argued with me about it. And in case they happen to hear this video, they'll definitely know it's me. So I better not speak any more about that. You feel like it's a cheat. And people who know me, Shawna, who knows me, I am the furthest thing from lazy on the planet. I can't feel, my days are so incredibly filled with things that are I have to do and take care of. And yet you are looked at for being lazy when it comes to the food discussion in the food realm. And it isn't who I am. And yet there's that feeling around that. And why is it? We take all kinds of medicines for all kinds of things to improve our health and well-being and our life expectancy. Why not this? Why not this? So,
especially when, since taking it, it has enabled you to incorporate more healthy habits. And it sounds like the same for everyone on the panel, that it was the boost that you needed to, some quick motivation, some quick wins, less pain, less inflammation, helped you develop the habits that can now snowball.
I was at a dinner last night around a table with some people I'd never met before. One of them was a nurse, which was a very interesting discussion because somehow Ozempic came up at the table. I certainly didn't put my hand up and go, yeah, I'm on it, because I wanted to hear her take. And her take was the same as everybody else's that I've encountered. Well, so of course, I'm not going to put up my hand and go, well, okay. But I did challenge your thinking, especially as a nurse, which surprised the heck out of me. And she said, well, it's a new drug and we don't know what the long-term side effects are going to be. And I said, oh, hang on. No. This isn't a new drug. It's been around for quite a long time. Its use for weight loss is the new part. So it was interesting to me that she spoke as an authority, and she certainly wasn't. And the reason why people take it and that whole thing, and why, we're improving our cardiovascular health. And we'll get into all that with heart disease and heart failure and stroke and blood pressure, lipid disorders, fatty liver disease, kidney disease, and inflammation. We're fixing all those things to make us healthier. Why is there shame around that?
And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do this panel, is because we want to bring awareness. Like, no one is going to blame someone with an infection for taking antibiotics.
Amen.
This is nothing different. This is exactly the same. It's just going to help improve health parameters. And so we need to be less judgmental and more educated about it. And it's so sad and interesting that even a health practitioner in your circle, Annie, was passing judgment from a place of lack of knowledge. And that's what we're all about, is trying to expand our knowledge base so that we can expand our listeners, so that we can all, we're not encouraging people to take it, but we are encouraging people to open the conversation about it and their minds around it.
May I just add, Shawna, that every one of my healthcare providers, and I see a number of them for a number of issues that I have with my neck and spine and hips, as I am one of those, women of age who's going through menopause and body aches and pains and pulls and stressors and ligaments and all those things that happens when your estrogen drops. And all of my providers, all of them, when I share with them that I'm on Ozempic, I don't feel shame in talking to someone like that who gets it, who every one of them has said, good for you, and who has supported me, who has said, don't feel shame. I'm happy you're doing this, and I'm happy you're feeling better, and I'm happy you've lost 42 pounds, because I don't know where your joints and ligaments would be today without doing that. So just to share that, I've gotten such good positive response from those who are more educated with regards to these GLP-1s.
And thank you, Annie, for sharing that, because I think that is part of the thing that we're dealing with is that, and I'll admit, when I first learned of these medications, especially for weight loss, I was skeptical because we don't know what we don't know. And one of the things I would encourage our listeners is just recognizing that, like Shawna said, we're not saying everybody go out and take GLP-1, because there's definitely people that these drugs are not for. And when we have an expert on, we'll get some more information on that. However, when we're in a conversation with someone on the street, there is a very good chance, if you're in this conversation with a group of people, that there's probably there could very well be someone in that conversation that might not be saying anything, but they could be taking GLP-1 medications. And because it is a newer conversation, I think we also have to be patient with people that maybe don't have the knowledge, haven't been in the boat that you gals are in, and are not looking at it from that seat. And, just speaking up, although I can understand why you wouldn't want to, but I think that that'll change over time. And I think that it'll get easier, and that will help with these conversations. But as people that are not taking GLP-1, we do need to be aware when we're having conversations and that topic comes up, chances are somebody is in earshot that is taking that medication. So we do need to be, kind, and we do need to be learning. I encourage us all to learn more about, who are these drugs appropriate for. If we're going to be in those conversations, we have to. And that's why Shawna and I are wanting to do this and some other, we're talking to people, because we know we're working with a lot of clients that are taking GLP-1 medications, whether we know it or not. That's the case. And, we want to make sure we have a better understanding. And, so that's kind of my plea to all of us that maybe aren't taking the medications.
Yeah, exactly. And Emily, I would just like, to kudos to you for recognizing that prior to your experience with the drug, your serving sizes were not reasonable. But the drug enabled you to see, hey, my serving sizes are too big. And I'm curious about the food noise now, after you're not using the drug, but you have used the time on the drug to develop healthy habits. Has the food noise returned? And are you relying on willpower more? Or how is that working for you?
So I would say the food noise has returned, but not near where it was. I still, I get hungry now. When I was taking the shot, it was a miracle. The first time I took it, I know it's not instantaneous for everybody, but the first shot I took, the next day, I wasn't hungry, and I was like, okay, I'm going to wait to eat until I get hungry. And it was like dinner, like the next day. I was like, holy crap. And I could have a taco, and I was full. But since I've stopped it, food noise is back a little bit, but it is still manageable, and it is a lot more about willpower. But I feel like once you have a win, you want to keep getting those wins. And I feel like now I'm just hooked on being healthier and making better decisions. So when I go out, I just remember, I can survive on less food. It's not so much about anymore. I used to just eat until I couldn't eat anymore. And now I recognize I can eat when my serving is gone. Then, if I'm not starving, I don't need anything else. If I want a snack, I get a small snack. I'm not going to get the whole bag of Tostitos and sit on the couch and watch a movie and eat them all. And oh crap, they're gone. It's like, I'll get a whatever snack it is. It's just everything in moderation now. And it really was just like taking the shot was a peek into what could be. And now it's just making that my lifestyle from here on out. While it would be amazing, if insurance covered this drug just for weight loss. Like my insurance specifically says, unless you have diabetes, we will not cover weight loss medication of any kind, even though, it would prevent so many other issues. Before I started taking it, I had heartburn every day, all day. I have, knee problems. I've got, I had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, almost diabetes. And now I don't. And thankfully, I haven't rubber band like all the way back like most people have. I haven't gained any of the weight back. I've focused more on building muscle than, losing weight lately. But it's more so just like dipping your toe into the lifestyle, realizing what can be. And now I'm just kind of like, if I don't go work out, I feel like crap. So it's completely changed me.
Fantastic. Yeah, and it's so, and we still don't know how many people will be able to come off of these medications at some point. And that's something we can ask our expert what the newest data is. But they're still researching these things. But Emily, it's amazing your story that and that's not going to be everybody. And we're not saying everybody should come off of their GLP-1s either.
No,
it's just that it is there. There is that small percentage that that it's been shown that are able to. But it sounds like you've changed. It's not like you've gone back to your old lifestyle. So you've made lifestyle changes. So can you speak to the weight part? Because I know that this can be a hiccup for a lot of people on the mindset of like when you're exercising, you're gaining muscle, but you're on this weight loss drug, and your goal is to lose weight on the scale. And how does that whole mindset? What has that struggle been like for you?
Well, when I was on the shots, I was weighing myself every day and writing it down, and it was just going beep, 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 dropping constantly. And I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. Since coming off of it, I have focused more not on the number on the scale, but on how my clothes fit, how I feel, and just more like body composition. Like I can lift so much more, and my clothes fit entirely different. I feel like way better about myself than I have like ever before. And I know I have like a whole lot more muscle mass than I did before, or probably ever. I was talking to my family about this, and my mom told me, she's like, you are healthier now than you have been in the last 10 years. So since I was in college, I am at a better place. But I did have to move away from the scale. I still weigh myself probably once a month just to make sure that everything's, staying. But I focus more on my clothes, and that my heartburn has gone away and I don't have to take those anymore. Little things like that.
I wish you could show us your quads. Emily has the most amazing quads. We can't see them right now, but she's got some great muscle. Love it.
And I think the focus on non-scale victories is so important, whether you're using the drug or not, that we're focusing not on the weight, but not on weight loss, but health gain. Because I think that that's really where the bigger wins are, is on focusing on health gains. And I really love that you've pointed out that because you've changed your lifestyle, you've been able to add muscle. So, like if you're using Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, any of the GLP-1s, is that there is a tendency to lose lean muscle mass, but that is the same as if you are on any diet without resistance training. So it's important that we point out that, it is possible, even on these drugs, to gain lean muscle and not lose it. Because I think that's one of the fear-mongering statements out there is that, oh, you'll go on these drugs and you'll just waste away, you'll lose all your muscle. Well, yes, you will, but you will if you also go on a weight loss program without resistance training. And
my goal now is just to, I gave myself the goal that by the end of the year, I was going to up my regular squat to 200 pounds.
Amazing.
I'm shooting for that now instead of being, whatever weight.
I love it. A performance goal. And I know that Annie is similar in your goals. Annie, like your body composition has changed. Your goals have changed such that like we're pushing the weights with you, with performance. So I think focusing on performance goals and not just, scale goals.
And not just, being able to lift more and more and more, but being consistent with that muscle weight bearing, especially through aging. As we know, Shawna and Allison, we've talked about it so many times about, weight bearing as you get older. It's just so important. I mean, just the functionality and having more muscle and strength, and like you said, Shawna, those non-scale victories. And just as I'm going through my life now, it astonishes me, like when I go to do something that requires some muscle and some effort, that I am able to do it where I wasn't before. I took my Ozempic and lost my weight and got rid of the inflammation, was able to work out. These are all stepping stones to getting where I got today. So to say it's been easy and to say it's been slack and lazy, you can hear in my voice, I'm very, very passionate about this because I'm able to do things like lift my grandbaby, carry her around, and I reached for a super heavy pot above my head the other day. I had to carry big bags of branches from my backyard to the front yard to get picked up. Just these things, like they sound so simple. And to a man who's much stronger, like my husband, he's like, blah, 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 blah. But I'm like, I wasn't able to do this before. And my family sees my victories and they're like, Mom can do that now. I wasn't able to do that before. Huge, huge, huge for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those are some of the victories we love seeing with working out and, women getting stronger in general. So thank you, Annie. That's like so empowering to be able to do things that you couldn't do. And I want to make sure we really haven't talked, the ladies on this panel have not mentioned really bad side effects, but that's not always the case. I've talked to some other ladies just getting ready for this interview, that one that I thought was going to be here, and she did have some negative side effects, and she also would be interested. She got her medication a different way. I think it was maybe compounded, but it doesn't matter. I mean, some people experience different side effects. So I just want us to point out, it's not, we don't want to paint this picture that, these medications come with, everything's perfect. It sounds like you ladies have had a good, had some side effects, and y'all have mentioned them. But some people do have a lot more, and some people find that they're not able to take the drugs for whatever reason because of side effects. So I do want to, just point out that we don't have that view here, but that is something that we need to make everyone aware of that's out there.
Yeah, it's not, everything has compromises. There might be, you're going to gain this, but you might have to endure this, or so it can, like you said, Alli, we're not trying to paint a picture that everyone should run out and talk to their, just get on the drugs, but we should be opening up conversation. And obviously our panel is probably, pretty passionate, and we just happen to have the passion in the way of positive experience. We just haven't had that yet. Like, we didn't have the person that had a negative experience, but we would be more than willing to have a person that's had a negative experience discuss that, because we should be having both sides of the coin revealed, right? So now,
Annie
has her hand raised. So yes, Annie, jump in.
I just wanted to talk about that negative side of things, because you're right. It isn't a panacea of positivity. There definitely was challenges for me, and in the beginning, I think it's because my doctor didn't really know. It was just starting to come into vogue. I think I hit it ahead of the curve. And she started me on the 1 milligram pen right from the get-go. Oh my goodness. Please don't do that. Yeah, Emily. No, it was not great. I remember praying to the porcelain god for very many hours and days. And my husband said to me, "Is this worth it?" And I said, "Let's just like with anything, let's give it some time. Let's see what this all fleshes out to be." And it was because you don't start at the full dose. You start at 0.25, you go up to 5, you go up to, or you might need to take slower steps. So my advice, not being a medical professional, but just from my experience, is that you need to start slowly, very slowly. Some people, like my husband, could go very quick at it. I sure couldn't. I had to go very slowly at it. And I still do battle some nausea. My doctor did give me something to help me over the hump at the beginning that was, super difficult for me, with I think it's called metoclopramide, and it's an anti-nausea drug, and it helped me to get over that hump. I'm glad I persisted. I got a lot of really good help actually from a pharmacist, who sometimes, in my experience only, I have found that pharmacists know more about the different drugs and how much to take, when to take them, than our doctors do. For me, from my personal experience. I had one who was particularly helpful, and she broke it down into how many clicks of a pen equals how many milligrams, and how to count them, and just different bits of advice that was super helpful. So there's so much more out there now to help us along and to guide us than there was when I started. Like I said, I think I was really ahead of the curve. But the nausea, constipation is still an issue for me. My gut has slowed down. Gut is the mother of our being. So I'm still needing a lot of work there. For me, that's not correct yet for me. But there's other issues that might be compounding that for me as well. That burping thing is still there. I don't think that will go away. But it's not like you can't suppress a bit of that when you're out in public. But for me, those were kind of the main negatives. Not knowing, or potentially knowing now that I might be on it for life, that doesn't make me happy, for sure. The cost potentially for life doesn't make me happy. I didn't know that going in.
Yeah.
Whose fault is that? I don't know. Should have done a little bit more homework. But again, I think I was ahead of the curve. I didn't really know. And I know my doctor didn't know. But my doctor did know enough that where I was at was not a good place, and I was tracking it towards something a whole lot worse.
Yeah.
So it was a good decision at the time.
And the good news, Annie, is that there's so much research being put into these medications. There's so many different formulations coming out that I can't speak to directly, but we know that progress is coming. So, when we talk to that endocrinologist, I'm sure we'll get a little bit more insight into that. But medical technology is really something spectacular, and with the number of people projected to be on these drugs and benefiting from them, we know that there's going to be some developments that are going to help the negative side effects, maybe help people reduce their dosages, or that sort of thing. Like I said, I can't speak from a medical stand on that, but we know that there's a lot of development being put into those drugs. So I think there's nothing but positive on the horizon in terms of development for those medications. Now we're getting close to an hour, so we should be probably wrapping it up now. If you had a wish for our listeners, what would it be? Let's start with you, Laura.
My wish would be shame resilience, the ability to kind of resist the shame.
And you, Emily?
I would wish that the listeners could find a way to start a healthy lifestyle, and however you get there is the best way there.
Nice. Annie?
I think I'd echo Laura's about the shame. I think that I hope we get to a point where these drugs are used and viewed in a positive light for the knowledge about that it's for overall health, and it's to be in a better, healthier place, and that we're looking at healthcare as preventative care, not as sick care. And
Yeah.
that, are we, sorry, I'm going to go off on a tangent, but are we going to, we're going to be spending more money if we let people, like for myself, for example, if I was to have continued to gain weight and been at a point where heart disease and all these other things were going to be in my horizon, would that not cost the government more money than if we were to take these drugs and be healthier? Like, I think we need to rethink how we're thinking about health.
Yeah.
And that would be my wish, is that we look at this more, the overall picture, and that we're taking control of our health in a much more positive way, and not that it's a cheat in any way, because we're all working at it emotionally and physically through it. And it's not been a panacea. I love that word. It's just not been that. It's been a great help for me to get control of my life and my health.
Yeah. How about you, Alli? What's your wish?
My wish would be that we all get to our healthy and happiest place.
Yeah, in whatever means. And my wish for listeners is that we just get a little more educated, learn a bit more about it, and be kind. Just be kind.
Thanks for listening. You'll find me, Alli, on Instagram at Alli Kerr Fitness.
And you'll find me, Shawna, on Instagram at Shawna Kaminski. Feel free to pop us a DM with questions and or feedback. If you're enjoying the Girls Talk Healthy Aging podcast, please subscribe and share it with other health-minded women. Ratings and reviews are also much appreciated and help us get our message out to a larger audience.
Until next time, be healthy and be happy.